Joshua versus Usyk. It's the big fight everyone's talking about. You know, now that Wilder and Fury's gone to October 9th, September the 25th. Let's talk about it here on BWTM Sports. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Ready? Please do subscribe, smash the like button when you can. So, before I begin this show, I have to give a massive shout out to a couple of people, a couple of kings. First of all, I must give a massive shout out to Derrick James, who was on the show just yesterday. Was on the show, so I need to give him a massive shout out because he took time and spent time with the viewers of BWTM Sports, and we learned a lot more about the Errol Spence fight. We learned more about the Charlo fight with Castano. Obviously, we know Errol Spence is going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao. So we learned a lot more about Derrick James, the way he thinks, a bit more about how he trains his fighters. Then we asked some other questions. One of the other questions, main questions I asked him was, would he train any heavyweights? And he said to me that he would train Deontay Wilder and he would train Anthony Joshua. I think so far he's been unfortunate not to be training a heavyweight because he was a former heavyweight himself. So he's a fighter that he's a trainer that would definitely been able to give some input into the heavyweight division. And I look forward to seeing Derrick James training a heavyweight in the near future. Now, the other person I have to give shout out to is Malik Scott. Shout out to King Malik Scott. He reposted our interview on his Instagram page, as with Derrick James. So massive shout out to both of you. Most appreciated, and appreciate you too, Kings. I do appreciate it. Now, next piece of information I'm going to share now with you. BWTM in the news. Love it when BWTM comes up in the news. It's let me show you a couple of articles where Google have alerted me today. About an hour ago, Google alerted me of these. Let's bring this up. The first article here. Bring on the share screen. Right, let's make sure you can see that first. Yeah, that's not big enough. Let's get the full screen up. So let's have a look at this and let's focus on what we've got here. And I think I've got that transferred into, here we go. So the first article's come up and it's on Fight News. It says, James Bashir, in the 7th round of the fight with Chisora, I would tell Usyk to calm down and impose a fight on him. So this article, it's only been out a few hours and it's got 627 views. It goes, James Bashir, an ex-coach of Ukrainian heavyweight Alexander Usyk, believes it is that in the fight with Derrick Chisora, unlike the fight with Tony Bellew, the former Ward made a tactical mistake. Usyk did not play with Bellew, but he calculated it. Usyk saw Tony was getting tired in the 4th round. I can tell from the way he boxed, Usyk just played with Bellew, letting him wear himself out. With Alexander, when Alexander saw that Tony was tired, he picked up momentum. In the 7th round with his fight with Chisora, I could tell Usyk to calm down and impose a fight on him. Derrick ran out of gas after 7 rounds. He ran out of gas. He was completely tired. Derrick acted if he wanted to get Usyk. In other words, they were playing poker, and Usyk gave Chisora the initiative. Derrick was aggressive, showing that if he got close to Alexander, he would damage him. But Tendril, I think this is maybe Ukrainian, did not stand still, but he continued to move constantly. He needed to understand that this was a bluff and say, you know what? I will stay where I am and I will fight. Derrick was exhausted and had nothing left. So James Bashir in the interview of YouTube channel BWTM Sports and Gaming. So shout out to Fight News for doing that. That's one article. So we're going to go through the articles with you. Second article is by Fight News again. And they've picked up 616 views so far. People have seen it. Former Usyk coach Joshua can knock out any opponent he hits tightly. So let me just check back in here, make sure people are. So here we go here. Former coach of Ukrainian heavyweight Alexander Usyk, James BASHIR, believes that if the WBA, WBO, and IBF world champion Anthony Joshua hits his ex-ward, he will have the opportunity to win early. I think it's a very good fight. Great contrast in styles. As is the case with many fights, the angle of the fighters will make the difference in this fight. A heavyweight like Joshua could knock out any opponent if he hits hard. He's a good, solid puncher. When Joshua hits, he can do damage. Usyk was shocked, but he's a good professional. Alexander knows how to disguise that he has been hurt. He was shocked. He gets shocked like any other fighter, said James BASHIR in an interview with YouTube channel BWTM Sports Gaming. We will remind BASHIR also told what advice he gave to Usyk in the Derrick fight. So that's just another article there, but there's one other article that's come in about 3 hours ago. This is the latest article. And it's another website. Let me it's Sports KZ. So I think this is Sports Kazakhstan. And Sports Kazakhstan says this: he's a solid puncher. Usyk's ex-coach warns him about possible knockout from Joshua. Former coach of Ukrainian heavyweight Alexander Usyk, James BASHIR, believes that the WBA, WBO, and IBF champion Joshua, if Anthony Joshua hits his ex-ward, he will have the opportunity to win early. So it's the same thing he's basically said here, but you've got it here, the same thing, but it's gone on Sports Kazakhstan instead. So it's good to know that, and shout out to those publications for following up and following BWTN Sports. Shout out to them for that. Right, so that's to those people out there that say that BWTM Sports has not been watched, and BWTM Sports is not producing news. There's your answers there. So shout out to Fight News and Kazakhstan News and everyone at UA Boxing for following us up and sharing the information. We appreciate you. And shout out to our European correspondent, Eastern European correspondent, Eugene. Thank you so much for your brilliant work. Appreciate you. Keep it up. Much appreciated. So let's go. Question. Bob Sanders says, upset alert. Granados is 10-1. Huge opportunity. Possibly. Says, I'm taking that no question. Yeah, well, the thing is, with Conor Benn, we know he can punch, but we know he's been dropped before. And the question with guys like Benn, particularly if they're chinny, and he's been dropped by we can't really say are big punches, and his chin will always be a concern to me, because at any night, you can say any night anybody can get chinned, but with somebody showing a vulnerability around the chin, that's a concern. So yeah, it's not a bad punt at all. Ben's been doing a lot of talking, doing a lot of training, but I still think he's very vulnerable around the whiskers. And I'm going to talk about another fight as well, British heavyweight fighter, David Ayadele. If you can ask my opinion on him, I think I'm not totally convinced on him as a professional fighter. There's almost, I don't want to say it, but he's got an almost Audley like aura about him. He's got that Audley Harrison thing about him, and I think David, he needs to be very careful how he goes about responding to the media and how he carries himself across, because your performances have to match up with what you're saying, And if what you're saying isn't matching up with your performances, you really are almost burning bridges before you've actually got your career going. And his performance against Sokolowski wasn't the greatest. And for me, if you're saying that was an off night, then I think you need to go back and replay that fight with Sokolowski, immediate rematch, go out there and blast Sokolowski out there. That's what you need to be doing. The guy he fought the other night was in terrible condition, terrible shape. And the other thing I'm picking up about David Adiele, from what I'm seeing, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but he seems to give me the impression, and I saw him spar against Hughie Fury, and he's doing lots of sparring against lots of different types of fighters as an amateur. The impression I'm getting from David Adiele, when he's talking about, he's a different level to most of the ever heavyweights. I'm a bit concerned that he's talking like that. I'm very concerned. Calling out Nathan Gorman, that's a dangerous thing to be doing after your performance against Sokolowski. If you'd gone out there and blown out Sokolowski, I would have said, yeah, okay, you're doing okay. But the fact that Sokolowski will beat you, but you got a gift of a decision because you're a Frank Warren fighter, I'm a little concerned. That this is not going to bode well for him. And he's only just started his professional career, and he's talking in a way that I don't think his performances have warranted that kind of talk. And there's a lot of decent heavyweights around today. Fabio Wardley. Let's look at there's one. You've got Alan Babbage. I mean, look, even Dave Allen. Do you think that David Adiele could beat Dave Allen? I don't think so. And the impression I get of him, I think that when somebody actually hits him back on the chin hard, we might not see him again. I think he might be one of these here today, gone tomorrow type of fighters. That's what I'm picking up so far. But we'll see. There's that I don't know if anybody else can pick that up. He's got that same Audley Harrison sort of about him, kind of, that's what I kind of feel, that he's got that sort of aura. And I went to college with Audley. Do you know what I mean? I sat right next door to Audley. You know what I mean? Literally right next to him in college. And I spent a lot of time with Audley, right? So what I'm telling you here, he's got that Audley way about him, man. I don't know if he knows Audley, but he's got that Audley thing, the way he's responding to the media, the way he sounds. I think someone needs to get a hold of the young man and really sit him down and say, look, the heavyweight division, the British heavyweight division is, a stacked of talent. And if you can deliver the goods, that's great. But you don't really want to be drawing attention to yourself, calling out Nathan Gorman. And then when we look at your record and resume and look at the last guy you fought, and then you see the Sokolowski fight, it doesn't really, that's what I call unwanted attention, particularly early in your career. You really don't want that. So I would advise David Adiele to sit down with somebody wise in the sport of boxing, because the way I see it happening, the way I see what's going to happen with him, he's going to fight too soon and be drowned. Well, we've seen David Haye do it, but the difference was David Haye was I think he was won a bronze medal in the World Championships. I think it was. David Haye had been banging guys out, and he before he fought the Carl Thompson fight, he was stepping up. That's a little different, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it yet with David Adiele. He needs to put his punches together better. He needs to work behind the jab bet much more, and stop pulling with that jab. You understand? So those are things I think David really needs to work on. And if he can get those things right, and he get the boxing right, and he puts the performances on, they will speak for themselves. But if you're struggling against Sokolowski, right, then that's not good. A guy that Nathan Gorman, when Gorman was injured, he beat with one hand off the jab. That tells you something. And Sokolowski more or less beat David Adiele. So I'm not convinced. And just because I've met him, and just because I may have spoken to him, we're talking about the sport of boxing, and so it's not a slate on him, but it's how you like your fighters. And I prefer my fights to the fighters that I to delivered something, show me something. I'm from the show me state. Don't tell me. Show me in your performances that I can have faith in you. But don't try and make a fool of me. Don't tell me you're this and that and the devil knows what, as Bruno would say, and your performances aren't linking up to what you're saying. You understand? They're not linking up to what you're saying. And he was meant to try and put on a performance in his last fight. He said, I'm going to put on a performance. Well, he didn't put on a performance. So, yeah. The last two guys were perfectly picked opponents who just put on the earmuffs to make him look good. Remember, I've said that before in boxing. I call them patsies. They're guys that are paid to lie down, basically. Says, oh yeah, I train hard. I put all my ducks rid up, and I go in there and get banged out. Well, unfortunately, he has got that Audley-esque way about him. I hope that he loses it. Joseph Brown, salute to you, brother. And I just want to let you know, in terms of Malik Scott, King Malik Scott, reshared the interview I did with Derrick James on his Instagram page, because Derrick James gave a shout out to Malik Scott on how the excellent work he's been doing with Deontay Wilder, and shout out to Derrick James, who shared the interview as well on his Instagram page. So massive shout out to both of those kings, and salute to you, Joseph Brown. So that's it, really. Benn fights this weekend, as I've said. Yeah, 10-1's not a bad shout, to be honest. And with someone like Benn, you know, he's got a chip in it. He fights with a chip in his shoulder, and I like that. And he's got that aggressiveness, and he backs himself. But that chin, don't know. I don't know about that chin. That chin does not. I would not put on Conor Benn's chin. I would not put any fight Conor Benn goes into as he steps up with any sort of assurity, as long as I know the guy can hit him back on the chin. I just haven't got that assurity, you know. So salute Ingram, because that was a good interview, Derrick. You did. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a long time I spoke to Derrick, but I don't know if you saw if you're on Instagram, but he shared that interview out on his Instagram page, and then Malik Scott, King Malik Scott, actually shared it on his story on Instagram as well. So I just gave him a salute. So yeah, I enjoyed talking to Derrick. You know, those interviews are really good when you actually have rapport with someone who you spent time with them over the years, talking to them. So yeah, it was good. I like the fact that he took his time, even though he had to get up in the morning. He took his time to sit down and chill out and talk boxing with us. Derrick James is one of my favorite trainers in the sport. He gives great corner instructions and tells his fighters the proper adjustments in the fights. Yeah, he is, and he's a top trainer. I love the way he goes about his business, and even when I met him in person, he's a real cool dude, you know, real cool. But I bet I haven't watched him train. I've been fortunate to watch him train. But if I ever got the chance, if I ever got the chance to watch him, I'd love to watch him train. He's one of the few trainers that I'd really like to watch train. He's something special at Derrick James, something special. But I'd like to see Derrick James train a heavyweight. I think he's done well with the lower weights, but I think his passion is to train a heavyweight. I'm telling you now, he wants to train a heavyweight, but I think he's looking for a particular type of heavyweight. Scott talked about your interview with James on the PBC podcast. You're joking. What? No. You serious? Wow. Shout out to my man Malik Scott. Anyway, so Malik Scott was a regular back in the day. Malik Scott was a regular on BWTM Sports. So wow, that's a big one. If that's true, if you're right, if you're saying that's true, have you got a link to that, by the way, brother? Because that would be nice if I could get that. But you know what? But you know, well, that's if you could post that link out, that would be amazing. But the thing is, what I really like about Derrick James is that he gave credit to another trainer and he didn't think twice about it, particularly when that trainer is getting a lot of flack from people who don't understand boxing. Because there are a lot of people in boxing that say, yeah, Wilder hasn't improved. Well, I can see my eyes. Wilder's improved, throwing the jab to the body, putting punches together. Wilder's made adjustments, and I don't know. He did. He didn't say your name. That's fair enough. I'll take that. If he trains a heavyweight, they rule division. I think so. I think so too. I think he'd be great. Where can I get that PBC podcast? So it'd be great to listen to it. Because if I get the link, we can listen to it. And if you can tell me where it is, I'll play it on BWTM Sports. That'd be great. But I just don't. I think a lot of trainers in boxing will not give other trainers credit. You understand? Or they'll do it begrudgingly. And I like the way Derrick James was able to talk about Malik Scott. It wasn't like he was blowing smoke up his ass, explaining exactly why he appreciated what Derrick James was, what Malik Scott was doing. Derrick James, it's really good, and I really like to see that among trainers. Yeah, so that's it. Really, this is meant to be a short show, so all the best to Conor Benn this weekend. Oh, one final thing I want to talk about: Anthony Yarde versus King Arthur, the rematch. Scheduled, they're saying Frank Warren wants it for October the 9th, the same night that Fury versus Wilder 3 happens. Well, we hope happens. I'm not sure if I would be going into a rematch against King Arthur. Is Anthony Yarde even prepared to fight King Arthur in the rematch? Is he? I think he needs to fight a decent fighter, at least a guy that's going to give him preparation to fight Arthur. There's no point Anthony Yarde coming and fighting a knockover job. And if Arthur beats Yarde again, where does Yarde go? Where does Anthony Yarde go if he gets beat by Arthur? James Cook's in the camp now, and he'll be making adjustments. So we'll see. It's not a fight that I'd be rushing into. I don't know why Frank Warren seems to be wanting to push this fight. The only reason why I see they want to push this rematch is because they believe that Yarde has more to offer, and it was a mistake, a calculated mistake. You know what I mean? That they actually think that Yarde can beat Arthur. That's why I'd be pushing for that rematch so quickly. But I don't know. I wouldn't be in a rush to make that fight for Anthony Yarde. I think he should go his own. Me personally, I think he should go his own way and do his own thing. Good evening, my friend. How you doing? We're just talking about a few things. If you rewind the tape later, as I'm about to go off air, Malik Scott and Derrick James shared the interview I did with Derrick James last night. I think it was last night. He shared that. I've just found out now that he did Malik Scott did a brief podcast, talked a little bit about the interview. It was great. I'm going to try and reach out to Malik Scott and bring him back on the show. It'd be great. I haven't had him on the show for a long time, so I think it'd be great to get Malik back. I just hope that Benn does not just stride into thinking it will be the same as Vargas. Listen, like I said, Benn's chin is the problem here. In every fight, Benn's chin's the problem. I mean, because when he gets tagged back, I want to know what happens. He seems to be good at dishing it out. I'm not too sure about him taking it. And if you're getting dropped at not even domestic level, you're getting dropped. That's a cause of concern. That's a major cause of concern. So, yeah, of course he's chinny. Absolutely chinny. No doubt about it, he's chinny. Yeah, Benn is absolutely chinny, my friend. Look, he got knocked down by Paynard, and Paynard's no big puncher. Paynard is no big puncher, and even in rematch, he stunned him as well. Benn, when he gets nailed, and he will get nailed as he's moving up, and he could get dropped by a guy swinging a wild punch. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think he's the most durable fighter in the world. I don't. I think he's one of these guys who'll get dropped and get up and try and fight. But I think he's one of these guys that will. I just think he's. I just don't have much faith in his chin. That's what I'm saying. If Benn walks in thinking it's all gravy, Granados has something for him. I agree. Granados is a lot smaller than. It's a lot smaller than never been a threat at 147. Benn should prevail. But I hope Benn does prevail, because all that talking he's been doing, all that promoting he's been doing, come to think of it, yeah, he's been doing a lot of promoting. He's been selling himself a lot, Benn, to be honest, doing a lot of selling. He's guess one of their stars for the future. But I'm more interested in seeing my boy Ryan Charlton come back, who I'm going to try and get on the show. Ryan Charlton, check him out. I think he's going to go places down at his right weight. I have him winning the fight. Granados is still a live dog, but I think Benny's improving. He's improving based on. We'll see if he's improving. The guy he fought before that couldn't punch. So if Granados has got decent punching power, we'll see where Ben is. Yeah, we thought Josh Kelly should prevail. Keep feet on the ground. And I didn't think Josh Kelly would prevail. I said Josh Kelly would get beat. I won money on that fight as well. So sticking a cheeky 20 quid on any of Ben fights when he's stepping up is it's not a bad thing. Look, it's not me hating Ben. It's just that you're just aware of the things a guy brings to the table. And one of the things he brings to the table is a suspect chin. Maybe chinny's a bit too strong at the moment, but suspect. I'm not sure about that chin. I see we in the casual sense. Yeah, I like Charlton. He was way too small for Marku. I like his move back to 135. That's what I think. I told him that. After he won that fight, I said to him, listen, you need to come down. Move down anyway. But I'm glad, I'm happy for him. A lot of casuals thought Josh Kelly was the second coming. Second coming of what? I know. Ben will get starched at world level. We know this. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's that chin. It's the problem. Do you think Avasani would chin beg? Absolutely. 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 No doubt about it. No doubt. No. Well, Avasanya is world class. The guy's world class, right? He's world class. In fact, I'd like to see him get another world title shot. That guy's world class. Ingram, on a side note, if your knowledge in boxing was the same level as football in FIFA, you'd bring an African team winning the Champions League. I'm gonna try and play again tonight. Actually, I'm gonna try and see if I can get it. I'm having problems with my internet. I'll try and play that. I'm gonna try and build the youth players into that and get the team going. Ave takes Ben out within 6. Not even 6, mate. Not even 6. 3. As Ben's going to come forward and he's going to walk onto one. Ben's going to bring that fight. My man's going to stick on the back foot, and as Ben comes forward, he's going to tag him. And once he tags Ben, he's a world-class finisher as well. That's the two things Ben doesn't want: a guy that can punch and a guy that can finish. Don't want that, because when he gets hit, he'll get hurt, and then the guy will finish him off. You heard it here first. Remember I told you, Ben has got a suspect chin. So, let me get out of here because I've been a little longer than I thought it would be. Anyway, rewind the tape, spin the tape back, and let me just pull this down here. spin the tape back, and we will see you for our next show. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, like, share the video, and let people know about BWTM Sports. Sheldon Courtney has been moved to AJ card. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know that's I hate to say it, but they're filling the they're filling the card. That's a filler that was. No disrespect to Sheldon Courtney, but they come show support to the FIFA stream, guys. Yeah, by the way, Mr. HC, weather updates, the way you can show your support is by leaving comments in the comment section about what's going on with the team. I really appreciate if you do that. It'd be really good. Do you think Usyk can pull it off? Don't know, I don't know. It's that weight that's doing me. That weight, and his performances haven't been great so far. It's difficult. I just don't think he's put anything. He's not showing me anything at heavyweight to suggest he can. I personally think Joyce has a very good chance to beat Usyk. I still think so too. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Let's see here. Let's see what Courtney can do after 5 consecutive wins with the title. Be interesting. Let's see how she does in a unification bout. That'd be nice. Right, let me get out of here. Thank you all for watching. Spin the tape back and check out the articles of BWTM Sports in the news. So for those people out there, it says BWTM Sports, people don't watch it. It's not about the viewership. It's not about how many people are watching. It's who's watching, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Once again, shout out to Kings, Derrick James, and Malik Scott for the love. And hopefully they'll try and get Malik Scott back on the show to do an interview. See you soon. This has been BWTM Sports.